In this video, we're going to be discussing how to identify the best business ideas for your next software project. Let me open with this. You will most likely fail. And if it's your first piece of software that you're building or business that you're starting, the likelihood of it failing is extremely high. Let me give you some of the facts. Statistically speaking, 90% of all startups fail. And if you're trying to do a startup in the AI space, there is another layer of technical hurdles that you'll have to overcome. So your chances of failure are even higher. Now, layered with the intense competition that's currently taking place in this kind of AI tech race for some of the smartest people in the world, trying to create these products that have AI at the core, you're going to be competing with some of the smartest, most ruthless individuals in the world. So as you're getting started, know that that is your competition, but you have an advantage. You are preparing by watching a piece of content like this that's meant to dissect this a little bit more and come at the idea of how do I create a piece of software with a bit more preparation. Even if you succeed, then it's possible that one of the big players in the game, OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft, will simply release a feature in their software that will completely replace what you've spent all your time, energy, and effort into creating with just a feature. So as you're making plans, as you're thinking about how do I do this, you have to understand that that is your starting point. Okay. With all of that out of the way, let's kind of look at some of the positive. I'm looking at this chart here, and it is by Goldman Sachs, who is estimating the amount of money, the amount of funding that's going to be going into the AI space moving into 2025. And currently, the estimation for worldwide funding into AI-based tech startups is to the tune of $160 billion. We're at just under $100 billion has been invested in the space. Now, that's worldwide everywhere. But if you're looking at it as far as the amount of people that are going to put their money into this technology, there's a lot of investment that's going to be made in this because it's very exciting technology. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to help you pick a niche, a problem that makes the most sense to solve. But before hitting what problems to solve, problems that you probably don't want to solve are going to be like, for example, Midjourney is creating a way of using AI to create images. They are giants. Stability AI is also creating a product for image creation. They have a ton of money and smart people that are solving this problem of creating kind of this base model that generates these images. Hence, you probably don't want your startup to be competing with them. Creating a base model that generates images is probably going to be harder for you to be successful in. Same with competing with GPT-4 or Perplexity or Claude. These base model kind of engines are not going to be something that you want to try to recreate because it's really hard. It takes a lot of processing power. Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't try to tackle hard issues. I would say, though, staying away from those specifically because there's really big names that are rushing it that are already way ahead of you. Instead, what you should try to do is find a very small community that has a big problem that you can solve really well. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, don't I want to solve a big problem of a big community? You'll get there. But before solving bigger problems, try to solve just one problem really, really well. So evaluate the potential market size and growth prospects. So look at a community, look at an industry, look at a people group that has a problem that you can solve really, really well by using software. And not just software, but now you have this secret sauce that you're able to bake into your software, which enables you to do some really mind-blowing things. And I'll explain how you can leverage this secret sauce. So in addition to finding the size of the market, what you're going to want to understand is what people are willing to pay. What's the revenue opportunity within this market segment? You want to find a community that you're able to solve a problem for that has money to be able to pay for that solution. Solving a problem for kids isn't necessarily going to be a great idea because kids don't have money, or at least they don't have much money. That being said, solving a problem for a business is probably going to be a better idea because businesses have money. And usually you can solve a problem for businesses in two ways. You can help the business save money, or you can help the business make money. So if you use this very, very simple formula, you should be able to come up with a pretty solid idea. And again, the formula is this. What niche exists that's large enough that I can solve a problem that really is going to be worthwhile? Don't solve a problem that only 10 people have. Don't solve a problem that only you have. Actually, I think the best way to create a product is find a problem that you have that other people, that a large group of other people also has. Because you'll be able to really efficiently dig down deep and understand the problem past the surface layer, because you yourself have the problem, so that you can solve the problem for yourself. After assessing, hey, I have this problem, there's a good amount of people that also have this problem, then you can assess, is this group of people that I'm solving the problem for have the money to subscribe to this service that I'm going to be creating? Something that I can charge them for, whether it's $1, $5, $500, depending on how big the problem that you're solving is, will depend on how much you can charge. Okay, so I've laid out this formula. Now I want to give you an example of how I'm applying this formula. Okay, so I am in marketing. And whenever we do anything in the marketing arena, we always ask the question, well, who are we creating this campaign, this email, this landing page, this ad? Who are we creating it for? Who is the audience? What's the persona that can encapsulate, generally speaking, this thing that we're creating it for? That way, when we write out the email, create the landing page, we can custom tailor that experience for the person that is meant to land here. And check this out. Most of the time inside of a company, when you create all of these different pieces, when you run a campaign, there's so many things that go into running a successful campaign. It's usually more than just one person that is responsible for creating the different components. So aligning everybody on who they're creating this thing for makes a persona extra valuable. So for me, as a person who is in marketing, drafting out a persona is very valuable. And, how do we do that currently? Currently, I'm just opening up a Google Doc and kind of drafting out a persona. I'm checking it against the data that lives inside of our CRM. I'm checking it against our competitors because our competitors have kind of similar customers that we do. And it's kind of a tedious process, but it's something that's ultra valuable. So coming back to, hey, this is a problem that I have. So why don't I solve my own problem by enabling persona creation to be a more simple process? So that is kind of like the core of where I'm starting. I did a bit of research. Hey, I found some other competitors that have persona creation products that they're offering up to the marketplace. But in some of my research, I've been able to determine, hey, there is a big component that's missing in these that I can make better. So just like if you have looked at creating products for Amazon, oftentimes the advice is don't try to reinvent the wheel here. Go and find a successful product and simply make it better. So too, in this process that I'm talking about, I'm looking at the persona SaaS products that currently exist, and I'm asking the question, well, how can I make these different products better? And the reason why this approach is really helpful is because you already know that the demand exists for this product because these software companies exist. So you can be pretty assured that if you're able to create a better product at a more competitive price, you'll probably be able to get a piece of the pie in this market. So as I'm doing my research at looking at these different persona creation products, I'm able to drill down deeper and be like, okay, these products are for the masses. How can I create a product that's more geared towards a group of people? Oh, let's say tech startups. So as there's a gold rush right now happening on this idea of creating SaaS products that really leverage AI at its core. So not AI features tacked on as an afterthought, which is what pretty much all of the major players right now are doing. They're trying to catch up in figuring out how to implement these new AI systems that exist and essentially like stapling it to their product and being like, voila, isn't this better? Instead of taking that approach, what we're doing is building like an AI first. So kind of like traveling back in time where mobile phones became the norm. And websites started popping up that were mobile first, that was thinking about, oh, hey, let's create our product. Let's create our website with mobile phones as a high class citizen. So too, looking at the various products that are available. And instead of being like, oh, I can copy them and just tack on these AI features, instead, what I'm doing is asking the question, how can I create a product that leverages all of the amazing features that AI gives you as a first-class citizen? Okay, so we've identified there are competitors in a market. We've identified where where areas can be improved in that particular marketplace. And now we're starting to sculpt a product that's going to be superior than all of those products by leveraging this new technology. So if you've kind of followed those steps, you're going to be massively ahead as compared to people who didn't take all of those steps to define the market, do competitive research, and then figure out where those products are lacking so that you can improve them. Okay, so let me tell you about what I'm going to build. So I'm currently working on a product, persona something, haven't quite gotten the name down, but the whole idea here is kind of being the shovels and pickaxes in this AI gold rush. And what this product does is enables you to add a competitor, add somebody who you think is already creating value in the space. And then what the product does is determines the market size of a particular niche. Okay, here's the first opportunity. So there's one input, you put in a competitor, and using AI, the system goes and does research on not just one, but let's say your top 5 competitors, top 5 pieces of software that are creating personas for businesses. Okay, it goes and scans, pretty much creates a summary of what the competition looks like, how many visitors each competitor gets, etc. Then, and this is really interesting, it takes each of those competitors and then it creates a combination of what the perfect customer for those individuals would look like. So it essentially automatically, leveraging AI, creates a persona of that customer based on the 5 competitors. Now, I'm not going to give away all the secret sauce because there's a special way that I'm leveraging AI to come up with a consistent output, a consistent high quality output of what that persona looks like. And then I get a visual. So here's essentially the output. My input is a competitor. The output is the ideal customer of my competitors. Again, secret sauce. And I get this beautiful visual of here is the customer. Okay. Now here is where the value comes in for the business, or I'm niching down for the tech entrepreneur who's thinking about creating a product for the person who wants to create a piece of software for other people who are creating software in this gold rush. Okay. So once you get that persona, then what my software does is it goes and guesses at all of the keywords that persona would be typing in to try to find a solution to their problem. Okay. So the AI goes and creates a list of 50 keywords that persona would be typing in to find your product, to find this persona-based product. And then it offers up, here's the search volumes for each of those keywords. So you're essentially able to figure out what the market size is for a persona based on the keywords that they would be typing in. So you're pretty much able to determine what the size of the audience is by putting in the competitor, and then the competitor outputting a persona, and then AI guesstimating what that persona would be typing in, then talking to Google and asking them, hey, Google, based on all the stuff that they would be typing in, what's the size of the audience that currently exists for this type of person? So as a tech entrepreneur who's thinking about a startup, they can very quickly determine, does my idea suck or does it not suck? Because if search volume doesn't exist for this idea that you're creating, go to the next idea, because you don't want to go through all the work of creating a product that nobody wants. Okay. Second piece of value that this software that I'm working on is creating is determining what the revenue opportunity is for that particular product. And the way that I'm doing this is, again, taking the keywords that I've already drafted out, and instead of looking at the organic traffic, what I'm looking at is what my competitors are paying for those keywords. Because If those payments are high, if the cost per click is high for those keywords, then they're probably making money. If a company isn't making money with a keyword, it's not going to continue paying through the nose for it. So just to recap here, I'm giving you an example of how I'd use the system that I just laid out, or how I have used the system that I just laid out to pick the idea that I'm going to work on. And then here's the kicker. Then go create content that's geared towards the audience that you want to sell to. And here you are, the audience that I want to sell to, a tech entrepreneur who's thinking about creating a piece of software in the AI space and wants to figure out what's the best way of doing that. And that's the equation. That's the formula. So if you take those steps, the reality is you'll probably fail a lot. However, eventually, if you do not give up, you will be successful, especially if you take the final piece of the advice and you start creating content for the market that you're trying to sell to, because then you'll be able to ask them questions directly. Or, there's so many different product ideas. Maybe you want to create a different product for that same audience. So hopefully that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly and we can talk about it. All right, see ya.